Hi, Professor Christensen. My name is Emma Pei. I'm presenting from Panama City again. I've just barely discovered this feature in PowerPoint that will make my presentation a little more professional this time than what I've been doing in the past, so let's give it a shot. So today I'm going to be talking about case 6-2 from the book. Just a quick background, and I'll try to go through it as fast as I can. Heinrich is working for a firm in Liechtenstein, a country that's famous as a tax haven. He found 28,000 pages of documents from his firm that reveal how companies illegally funnel money through Liechtenstein to lower their tax bills to as low as 1%, and they come from all over the European Union. So he knows that his seniors in the firm already know and allow this kind of problem, but he decides to present his case anyway because it's a last-ditch effort before he leaves the company for good. So he trusts his boss and he knows that she's an ethical person, so he organizes a meeting with her, but when he arrives, the head of the tax practice, Gunther Cross, is there as well. And Gunther uses intimidation to silence Heinrich. He tells him that the files that he has are confidential and that if he takes them outside of the firm, there will be legal implications, and he stresses the importance of loyalty to his firm and things like that to manipulate him to keep quiet. But he also makes it clear that the company already knows about this act and that they allow it. So after the meeting, Heinrich's feeling a little bit discouraged, but a German journalist approaches him saying that they know about the tax transactions and asking to interview him. So now he's faced with a difficult decision. Does he meet with the journalist without telling his company? Does he inform the company about the interview and then meet with the journalist? Or does he just ignore the journalist altogether, ignore the issues going on at his company, and go about his business? So in order to make a decision like this, especially when it comes to on an international scale, it's important to rely on principles because especially on an international scale, there's not enough laws to dictate the correct actions in every situation. So this is a principles-based approach with five steps that comes from the book, and it includes, I won't go into too much detail on each one since I'm limited on time, but decision usefulness, economic substance and true and fair view, professional judgment, representation faithfulness, and virtue consideration. So these are all considerations that you can use when having a principles-based approach to decision making, and these are all things that Heinrich can take into account in his decision. So the question that's asked is, assume that he's decided to meet with the firm first. Consider the following in developing a game plan on what you're going to say and why. Before we get to that, actually, he said he was considering being a whistleblower, and then before he took matters to a higher source of power, he was approached by this reporter. So to analyze what his next step should be, we can look at Trevino and Nelson's 7 steps of whistleblowing, since he's trying to decide if he wants to be a whistleblower. So we've talked about this in other contexts as well, but the steps include approaching your immediate manager, which he did when he scheduled the meeting with Cross. Discuss the issue with family. We won't get into that. Take it to the next level in your chain of command. Luckily for him, the head of the firm was there during his meeting, so he was able to discuss the matter with him. Next, contact your company's ethics officer or ombudsman. So he hasn't done this in the case study, so this could be a next step that he could take before meeting with the reporter or becoming a whistleblower, taking the next steps in the whistleblowing process. So, or he could consider going outside of his chain of command, go outside of the company or leave the company. So right now he's faced with the decision to take the matter outside of the company as a whistleblower, and there are still steps that he could do before to make sure that he's following Trevino and Nelson's 7 steps of blowing. So considerations before meeting with the firm. First, he needs to decide what are the key values that inform his intended action. So it seems like his values are in the right place. He thinks that the public deserves to know about these issues. He knows that it's unethical, and he wants to correct the unethical actions of his firm. What are the main arguments you are trying to counter? That is, what are the reasons and rationalizations you need to address? At the core of all the reasons and rationalizations, the firm is trying to make money. And probably some of the rationalizations will be that other companies do it. Liechtenstein, their country, is very well known for this type of action. And people are coming to them specifically knowing that they might do something like this. So they have important clients who are paying them a lot of money, and that's why they're doing it. And now what is at stake for the key parties, including those who disagree with you? There's a lot at stake here. For one thing, especially since it's already out in the open, since a reporter already knows about it, once this information goes public, the firm could deal with a major scandal. Everyone in the company would lose their job and ruin their reputation. Chances are not everyone in the firm is an unethical person, so it's definitely something to consider. What levers can you use to influence those who disagree with you? Well, for one thing, there's already people who know. They're already writing a story about it. The time is ticking. So basically, if they want to reform their actions and act more ethically, the time is now. Now, what's the most powerful and persuasive response to all the reasons and rationalizations you need to address? To whom should the argument be made, and when and in what context? So as we stated in the previous slide, he could go to his ethics officer, so the case would need to be made to them. If not, then maybe if there's someone above Cross who has more influence on the company, and when in what context, right away, because like I said, the time is ticking. A reporter already knows about it, and these actions have been happening for years. So, and in what context, he would need to definitely put a lot of thought into how he was going to express it. Otherwise, he would just go to the reporter and they would find out in the news. So finally, as a conclusion, and this is a little longer than I planned, but there's a lot to cover. So basically, in a perfect world, what would I hope the outcome of the situation would be after meeting with the firm? The firm already there's already information out in the public about what the firm is doing and the unethical actions. So they would need to realize that what they're doing is wrong, come out to the public themselves so that they're not being outed by another news source, so they have some control in the way that the information is presented, and then take actions to correct the misdeeds. And this could still lead to the end of the firm and a lot of people losing their job and having their reputations ruined. But in an ideal world, they would do it in a way that showed that they cared about ethics, and the firm would continue, people wouldn't lose their jobs, and they would stop acting unethically. So that's all I have for today, and thank you for watching.